The princess stepped carefully into the bright hall, her eyes scanning the room full of people. She had come to visit a special event at a hospital for veterans. The atmosphere was full of hope, with flowers and soft music playing in the background. She walked slowly, greeting the staff and the few patients who could leave their rooms. Most of them smiled politely, but one man caught her attention in a way no one else did. He was standing slightly apart. Quiet but with a strong presence. His face was marked by scars that twisted across his cheek and jaw, and his arms had patterns of raised skin that told a story of pain and survival. The princess felt her stomach tighten, and she took a small step back, instinctively recoiling. She hadn't expected to see such visible reminders of someone's struggles up close. Her heart raced, and she realized she had never really thought about what courage truly looked like until now. The man noticed her reaction. Instead of looking angry or hurt, he gave a small, understanding smile and asked softly, "Does it disturb you?" His voice was calm and steady, carrying no judgment, only curiosity. The princess paused, caught off guard by the question. She wanted to apologize, but words felt stuck in her throat. He waited patiently, letting her take a moment to find her voice. She tried to respond, fumbling at first, then finally said, I didn't mean to. It's just unexpected, he nodded, a gentle acknowledgement of her honesty. There was something in his eyes that made her feel at ease, despite her initial discomfort. They were not filled with anger or pride, but with a quiet strength that drew her attention even more. The room around them seemed to fade for a moment. She could feel the weight of what those scars represented, even without knowing the full story yet. Something inside her shifted, a mixture of curiosity and empathy taking over the initial shock. She realized that this man was more than his scars, and that the real story was still hidden beneath the surface. For the first time, she understood that courage and pain often walk together. She wanted to know more, to understand the life behind the scars and the journey that brought him here. The princess took a deep breath and stepped closer, ready to listen, ready to see the human being before her, not just the marks he carried. The man led the princess to a quiet corner of the hall. Away from the soft chatter and footsteps of others, he began to share his story slowly, carefully choosing words that carried both honesty and dignity. He explained that the scars she saw were from a serious accident during a mission he had been part of years ago. The explosion had changed his life in an instant, leaving him with marks that would never fade. At first he said he had felt anger, fear, and sadness, but over time he learned to see them as reminders of survival and strength. The princess listened intently, her initial discomfort replaced by growing respect. She realized that the man's life had been filled with challenges most people could not imagine. Every scar on his face and body told a story of pain, endurance, and determination. His words painted pictures of long hospital stays, endless therapy sessions, and moments when he had doubted if he would ever recover. Yet, he had kept moving forward, learning to adapt and find meaning in a life that had been turned upside down. She noticed the calm way he spoke. Even when recalling the most difficult moments, there was no bitterness, only acceptance and a quiet pride in how far he had come. The princess felt a deep sense of humility. Realizing how small her own worries often seemed compared to the struggles he had faced, she could see that the scars were not something to fear or recoil from. They were symbols of courage. As he spoke, he also shared the lessons he had learned about compassion, patience, and the importance of helping others. The princess was struck by how he had turned his hardships into a source of strength for himself and for those around him. She began to understand that people like him carry invisible scars, too emotional, ones that require resilience and kindness to heal. Her heart opened to the idea that true beauty is not skin deep but comes from character, perseverance, and empathy. By the end of their conversation, the princess felt a connection she hadn't expected. She realized that her initial reaction had been only a surface response, one that faded as she learned more about him. The man's honesty had broken down the walls of hesitation and discomfort. For the first time, she saw beyond the scars and glimpsed the person behind them, a human being shaped by experience, courage, and hope. She wanted to continue listening, to understand even more. because she knew that every story he shared could teach her something important about life and the strength of the human spirit. Over the next few days, the princess found herself thinking about the man and his story constantly. She had expected a brief encounter, a polite conversation, and then to move on with her day. Instead, she felt a strong desire to understand more about the life he had lived and the person he had become. She asked if she could see some of the work he did with other survivors, and he agreed. Welcoming her without hesitation, she watched as he helped others who had faced accidents, injuries, or traumatic experiences. He moved with care and patience, guiding them through exercises and listening to their fears. His hands were steady and his voice calm, offering encouragement without pressure. It became clear to the princess that his scars, though visible, were not what defined him. His character, his empathy, and his determination were far more powerful than any mark on his skin. One moment stayed in her mind. A young man struggling to regain strength in his arm, frustrated and almost ready to give up. The man knelt beside him, showing patience and gentle humor, helping the young man try again. Slowly, step by step, the young man succeeded, smiling through tears of relief. The princess realized that the man's true strength was not in surviving his own struggles alone, but in lifting others up as well. The more she observed, the more her initial discomfort faded. She began to see courage in a completely new way. It was not about avoiding fear or pain, but facing them and moving forward anyway. She understood that the scars were not something to recoil from. They were part of a life fully lived, a testament to endurance and human spirit. As they walked back through the hall later, she felt a deep respect and connection forming. She noticed small things, the gentle way he spoke to others, the careful attention he gave to every person, and the way he carried himself with quiet confidence. Her thoughts kept returning to his question, "Does it disturb you?" She realized that it had challenged her, forcing her to confront her own assumptions. Now, she felt grateful for the question and for the courage it had sparked in her own heart. She wanted to learn more, to spend more time listening, because each story he shared revealed not only pain, but hope, resilience, and the incredible strength of the human soul. Over the following weeks, the princess and the man spent more time together, learning about each other's lives in small, meaningful moments. He invited her to see the daily routines he followed to stay healthy and strong, and she watched him move with patience and care. Every action, every smile he offered to those around him showed a person shaped by resilience and kindness. The princess began to understand that the scars she had first noticed were only a small part of his story. They were reminders of the pain he had endured, but they did not define who he was. The real story was in his strength, his laughter, and his willingness to share what he had learned with others. She saw how he inspired people who were struggling, showing them that life could continue and even improve after tragedy one day. Why did she watch him help a woman who had lost hope after a long illness? The man encouraged her gently, showing simple exercises and telling stories of perseverance. Slowly, the woman's confidence returned, and the princess saw tears of relief and gratitude in her eyes. It became clear to her that true courage was about helping others carry their burdens, not just surviving your own. The princess felt deeply moved by the quiet power of his actions. She also began to reflect on herself. She thought about the moment when she had recoiled at his scars and how quickly she had judged without understanding. Seeing his patience and compassion made her question her own instincts and assumptions. She realized that empathy and understanding were far more important than first impressions. The man's presence and his calm strength taught her lessons she had never learned in books or at court. By the end of the day, Princess felt a sense of transformation within herself. She could see that her initial discomfort had been replaced by genuine respect and admiration. She realized that true beauty and strength came from the way a person faced challenges, supported others, and carried themselves with integrity. The man's scars had sparked a journey of understanding, empathy, and personal growth for her. And she knew that the lessons she was learning would stay with her for the rest of her life. She looked at him with gratitude, ready to learn more and to continue discovering the human courage that lay behind those scars. The days that followed felt like a journey for the princess, one that she never expected when she first stepped into the hospital. Each visit and conversation with the man revealed more about the strength it took to live with scars both seen and unseen. She realized that his question, "Does it disturb you?" had been more than a simple inquiry. It was an invitation to look deeper, to see people for who they truly are. One afternoon, as they sat in a quiet garden, the man shared his thoughts about life and resilience. He explained that scars were not failures or weaknesses, but signs that life had been fought and survived. He spoke about hope, about the small victories every day, and about the importance of choosing compassion over judgment. The princess listened closely, feeling how his words resonated with her own experiences and insecurities. She understood that empathy was not always easy, but it was always worth the effort. She began to reflect on her initial reaction, realizing how quickly she had judged based on appearances. The recoil she had felt was natural, but it had been replaced by understanding and respect. She felt grateful that she had been challenged to confront her instincts, and she knew she would carry this lesson with her forever. She had learned that courage was not only surviving your own hardships, but also lifting others and seeing the humanity in every person. The man's presence had changed her perspective on life. She saw how every scar, every mark of struggle, told a story of resilience, hope, and strength. It made her appreciate the depth of human courage and the power of connection. The princess realized that beauty was not in perfection but in authenticity, in the bravery to face life honestly and with an open heart. As their time together drew to a close, the princess felt a quiet sense of transformation. She knew that this encounter had changed her, teaching her lessons that could not be learned from books or ceremonies. The man had shown her the strength behind scars, the value of empathy, and the importance of seeing people fully beyond their appearances. She left the hospital with a heart full of respect, gratitude, and understanding, carrying with her the knowledge that courage, kindness, and humanity are what make a person truly remarkable.